When we talk about Bethlehem, we're talking about a very large service sector. About over 80% of our employment or of our economy comes from the service sector, and a large proportion of that comes from tourism. And so with COVID, of course, that sector was hit the hardest, and close to upwards of 90% of Palestinians in Bethlehem were rendered jobless. And we already had a quite high unemployment rate of around 32% before this COVID hit. And so recently we are having openings. I mean, the community is opening up. We're no longer under lockdown, but a large proportion of the community, especially in Bethlehem, remains unemployed, especially those that are involved with the service and the tourism sector. But when it comes to the needs, because of the lockdown, everything had to go to virtual meeting, just like this meeting. And so the needs weren't just for food. We had families coming to us saying, can you help us pay our internet? Can you help us pay for our utilities? And so this also became part of the necessities, especially as to not be able to afford these things that were once considered luxury is now to deny their children or themselves an education. And so the needs just keep on increasing. And especially, when we talk about being under lockdown or being quarantined, we're talking about having to remain in the same space. And so we also saw a rise in conflict. And so conflict mediation became even more important. But throughout this whole thing, unfortunately, the Israeli occupation continued its practices and even seems to have increased them as they related to annexation. During the first days of the COVID crisis in Bethlehem, we were told that Israel had taken over the Kremazan Valley and closed the main road that leads into the Kremazan Monastery, one of the oldest monasteries and wineries in Bethlehem since the 1800s, but it's also the land that belongs to around 50 families, and there's at least one school and kindergarten there. And so we also had raids. It was very unique to see, very different. We had all these soldiers coming into different areas of the West Bank, and they, were carrying the regular equipment, the regular guns, but they were also in these hazmat suits, trying to protect themselves against Corona. But then when they take the Palestinian child or Palestinian, they didn't even give them a mask. And so we see, and now this time is being used to further this annexation plan with the green light coming from the US and the Trump administration. And so we're unsure of what will happen. Fighting COVID is the first priority at the moment, but after that, we're gonna return to this ongoing conflict and to the ongoing reality of occupation that is just worsening and gaining strength.